maybe SACOS was too much of a hardline organization. Well, I'm a SACOS person. I mean, I believe wholeheartedly in its ideology and the way it did things because of what it did for me and other friends of mine and countless thousands of others. But nothing that SACOS constructed in terms of mass-based sport from primary school through to tertiary and club level and national competitions. There used to be an event known as the Olympics of the Oppressed in South Africa. I think it was held every 2 years or something like that. And I mean, everybody participated. It was held in different centers. But none of those structures or the things they did there has been replicated in the new South Africa.
In the past, the teachers had the political will. There was the apartheid struggle, and so teachers in the disadvantaged schools, they knew that in order to break down barriers, they would need to become involved in organizations, and so they formed the non-racial organizations in school sport. I think what happened, what threw the spanner in the works was when we started to talk about unity at the political level and then unity also at the sport level. And many of the people who supported non-racial sport were sort of won over by the argument that we could now be playing international sport, money would come into the school, and all students would then begin to participate in sport. Now, when you dangle that carrot in front of people, people then say, well, why can't we then just go and unify bodies and then get the money into the schools? Of course, the unification of sport was mainly to get South Africa back on into international sport. The business people were not interested in getting into school sport, which people thought they would. And so what happened, they broke down the unification of sport, broke down very strong non-racial school sport organizations.
The question of international competition was never a big question for black people, never. You know, we wanted to play sport because of its health and nation-building effects, rather than because of some major international prestige and achievements and so on. Obviously, never wanted to hold anybody back, but at the same time, that was not the main goal. And the way, for example, the way in which, as a result of this shift, school sport was simply destroyed in the new South Africa. And it has got to be rebuilt today, virtually from the bottom up. I mean, it's a real indictment. Again, I can only say it's a major indictment on the present government.
With the unification of the sporting bodies, actually came the destruction of the strong bodies in non-racial sport in schools. What happened in the schools, the following took place, that sport became very expensive. When students were then selected to represent a province, they had to very often put down a deposit of 500 Rand, pay off the other 500 Rand. And many cases, selectors would say, we're selecting you, but if you haven't got the money, we're going to select people who have the money.
Today, when they have investment and job creation summits, where do they have it? They have it far away from the people that are in direct need of what they're having the summit or the convention for. So, to do away with community-centeredness, which is what SACOS was, is replicated across the board in South Africa. And the thing about SACOS was, and the SACOS system was, SACOS brought it back to the community. We knew, without faxes, without internet, without email, without SMSs, without WhatsApp and Facebook and whatever, our communities knew what was going on. phone calls, letters, but of course we had a functioning post office back then. People knew what was going on. It was through SACOS that Simba Chips came crawling back on its hands and knees for SACOS to abandon the Simba Chips boycott.
Now the department is supposed to take over sport. Sport is being run by the department on an ad hoc basis. They're only prepared to sponsor students in certain sport codes going to national tournaments. In some Cinderella sport codes, they're not prepared to sponsor. So it becomes quite an expensive exercise for people who are selected, and parents, of course, have to dig deep in their pockets to send representatives to national tournaments.
So the decision to do away with SACOS and the SACOS ethos, I think, has been the decision to do away with hope, real hope in South Africa. Because we don't have hope. We have people on drips, medical drips that contain sugar water and nothing else of nutritional value.